You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Last night's presidential debate in Cleveland between Donald Trump and Joe Biden was an absolute unmitigated disaster. First and foremost, Chris Wallace could not even control Donald Trump, who kept interrupting people. One analysis showed that Donald Trump interrupted Joe Biden some 76 different times. Biden interrupted Trump about 15 times. Have no idea, folks. Here's a roundup of what happened last night.
President Trump, you have often said that you believe you have done more for black Americans than any president, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln. My question for the two of you is, why should voters trust you rather than your opponent to deal with the race issues facing this country over the next 4 years? Vice President Biden, you go first.
It's about equity and equality. It's about decency. It's about the Constitution. And we have never walked away from trying to require equity for everyone, equality for the whole of America. But we've never accomplished it. But we've never walked away from it like he has done. This is a man who, in fact, you talk about helping African Americans. 1 in 1,000 African Americans has been killed because of the coronavirus. And if he doesn't do something quickly, by the end of the year, 1 in 500 will have been killed. 1 in 500 African Americans. This man is a savior of African Americans. This man cares at all. This man's done virtually nothing. Look, the fact is that you have to look at what he talks about. You have to look at what he did. And what he did has been disastrous for the African American community. So,
President Trump, you have 2 minutes. Why should Americans trust you over your opponent to deal with racism?
He did a crime bill, 1994, where you call them super predators, African Americans, the super predators, and they've never forgotten it. They've never forgotten it, Joe.
No, sir, it's his 2 minutes.
So you did that, and they call you a super predator, and I'm letting people out of jail now that you have treated the African American population community, you have treated the black community about as bad as anybody in this country. You did the 1990, and that's why, if you look at the polls, I'm doing better than any Republican has done in a long time, because they saw what you did. You call them super predators, and you've called them worse than that, because you look back at your testimony over the years, you've called them a lot worse than.
Well, the biggest part of the debate came on the issue when Chris Wallace asked Donald Trump about white supremacists. This was the defining moment of last night's debate.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared
to
specifically
do it?
Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
Do you want to call them? What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
white like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud Boys. Stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing.
FBI director
This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacist. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got it.
Not militia. That's what his FBI. FBI director said.
Well, then you know what?
No, we're done, sir. We're moving on to the next. We're moving.
When a bat hits you over the head, that's not an idea.
Everybody in your administration tells you the truth has a bad idea.
Can I tell you what?
You have no ideas.
Antifa is a dangerous,
all right,
radical
gentlemen,
group.
we're now moving on to the Trump and Biden records.
They'll overthrow you.
When a president, I'm going to ask a question. When the president seeks a second term.
After being roundly criticized, even trying to send his surrogates out and White House staffers and campaign staffers to say, oh, no, he did condemn white terrorists. He said this today.
I don't know who the Proud Boys are. I mean, you'll have to give me a definition because I really don't know who they are. I can only say they have to stand down, let law enforcement do their work. Law enforcement will do the work more and more. As people see how bad this radical liberal Democrat movement is and how weak, the law enforcement's going to come back stronger and stronger. But again, I don't know who Proud Boys are, but whoever they are, they have to stand down, let law enforcement do their work.
Well, Mr. President, in this speech when you said stand by, that's my first question.
Just stand by. Look, law enforcement will do their work. They're going to stand down. They have to stand down. Everybody. They have to stand, whatever group you're talking about, let law enforcement do the work. Now, Antifa is a real problem because the problem is on the left. And Biden refuses to talk about it. He refuses to issue the words law and order. You saw that last night when he choked up. He can't say the words because he'll lose the rest of the left. So he's got to condemn Antifa. Antifa is a very bad group.
Yeah. Mr. President, let me follow up. White supremacists, they clearly love you and support you. Do you welcome that?
I want law and order to be a very important part. It's a very important part of my campaign. And when I say that, what I'm talking about is law enforcement the police have to take care. And they should stop defunding the police like they've done in New York, like they've done in New York. I just told you.
But you denounce them. Do you denounce
I've always denounced any form of any of that you have to denounce. But I also, Joe Biden has to say something about Antifa. It's not a philosophy. These are people that hit people over the head with baseball bats. He's got to come out and he's got to be strong and he's got to condemn Antifa. And it's very important that he does it.
I want to see profiles not encourage Georgia Senator Kelly Loeffler.
He has been very clear that there is no place for racism in this country. So, I think we just have to look at his words and his actions and to understand that he has done more to lift up African Americans than any president in recent history.
You want to see a weak-ass black man? Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina.
Do you find that concerning, the president's refusal last night during the debate to condemn white supremacist groups?
I think he misspoke in response to Chris Wallace's comment. He was asking Chris what he wanted to say. I think he misspoke. I think he should correct it. If he doesn't correct it, I guess he didn't misspeak.
I was on social media and you had some black MAGA lovers saying, oh no, the Proud Boys, they're not racist. They're not white supremacists. Watch this.
I started this gang called the Proud Boys. And,
the Proud Boys?
The Proud Boys.
What's Proud Boys about?
We will kill you. That's the Proud Boys in a nutshell. We will kill you. We look nice. We seem soft. We have boys in our name. But like Bill the Butcher and the Bowery Boys, we will assassinate you. Now, part of the reason I agree to do the talk is because I'm allowed to bring all my guys. And we can fight our way in and fight our way out. Beating the shit out of these people. I think it's our job to do it. And the cops just turn a blind eye. If you're wearing a MAGA hat, as Sal is right now, Sal's in the studio, folks.
Oh my God, it's Sal Cipolla. Where are you from?
Out here.
Wow, you came a long way.
If you're wearing a MAGA hat and some guy with a slightly punk demeanor comes up to you and says, hey, are you Sal or are you pro-Trump? Choke him. Trust your instincts. Don't listen to what he has to say. Choke him. If I do a video where I say, how about we start throwing bricks? Is that legal? You can't call for violence on a specific person, but can you say they're throwing bricks? We should throw bricks. Can you call for violence generally? Because I am. Fighting solves everything. We need more violence from the Trump people, Trump supporters. Choke a motherfucker, choke a bitch, choke a tranny, get your fingers around the windpipe. I want violence, I want punching in the face. I'm disappointed in Trump supporters for not punching enough. Get a fucking gun. Get ready to blow someone's fucking head off. I've even killed people in my dreams. That's how awesome my gun is.
Get in trouble, get arrested, get fired. Let's all get in this together. They can't kill us all.
Dude, but I got green tips, man. Those go through at least 3 bodies.
Oh, beautiful. Plop. I love the way he falls on his ass.
They said, you want to go? I said, yeah, I want to fucking go. And I punched him in the face. And then Coulter emailed me later and she goes, conservatives never punched anyone in the face. finally, things are turning around. And then Malmsberg goes, you're not advocating violence, are you? And I go, I absolutely am. It's a wonderful, effective thing. This is a fucking war.
The Joe Biden campaign did not wait to drop this ad.
Are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
Are you
I'm
prepared
willing
to
do
specifically
that, but
do it?
Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
You want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name.
supremacists and
Who would
white
you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by.
Let's go right to our panel. A. Scott Bolden, former chair, National Bar Association Political Action Committee. Robert Patillo, he's executive director for the Rainbow Push Coalition Peachtree Street Project. Lauren Victoria Burke writes for NNPA. Monique Presley, legal analyst, political commentator. I want to start with you, Lauren. Absolute disgusting what we saw last night from Donald Trump. The Presidential Debate Commission, they've already announced changes. At the next the moderators now will be able to cut the microphone of anyone who goes over their allotted time and interrupting someone else. Last night was all about Donald Trump wanting to unleash chaos.
Right, and so I guess there's going to be a lot of cutting of the microphone. Obviously, what we saw last night was a lot of fear and insecurity coming from Donald Trump, who I think at this point knows he's going to lose. I really think that to a large extent, we need to really think hard about what happens from November 4 to January 20. That was a desperate performance from somebody who knows that they're about to lose an election and be rolled out of office. Donald Trump, as we all know, barely got into office. He lost the popular vote. He's well aware of that. When you see him make these desperate calls to his supporters to show up at the polls, this obviously embarrassing, though not surprising, I misspoke on white supremacy, just like he misspoke in 2016, not being able to disavow David Duke. At this point in this, it's pretty obvious that people like Tim Scott, some of these other Republicans who, at this point, this is willfully ignoring a white supremacist in the White House and willfully being on the wrong side of that, one would think, easy to be on issue. I mean, the fact that Tim Scott today can't disavow what the president did last night is just unbelievable and incredible. You either agree with the president or you just don't understand how stupid you look at this point, defending somebody that is an out and out racist in front of the entire nation, and you don't get that. You don't pick up on the fact that the train is leaving the station. First of all, it should have been picked up on years ago. None of what happened last night was new. None of what happened last night was surprising. But for people to come out today after watching that last night and still be defending this president, I've sort of moved on to the point where I feel like I'm beyond Donald Trump. Because to some extent, I've been watching Donald Trump, unfortunately, my entire life because I grew up in New York. So I was used to seeing Donald Trump in the background all the time. But now I'm to the point of asking, what are these people doing in the Republican Party supporting this person at this point? What can you say?
This is real simple. This is real simple, Robert. Power. This is power.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. But Donald Trump played that debate like a fiddle last night. He was able to bait the host. He was able to bait Joe Biden. He was able to obfuscate. He was able to filibuster to the point that we aren't talking about the fact that we have a president who was impeached earlier this year, and we did not mention it during the debate. We find out that this president is $500 million in debt to unknown individuals around the world. We barely talked about it at the debate. the fact that he has not paid taxes in a decade, and when he did pay taxes, paid about $700. That did not get the proper vetting during the debate. President Trump knew he could not win on the facts. He cannot win a balls and strikes game, so he decided to do guerrilla warfare. Don't let your opponent get a straight answer in. Don't let the moderator ask a question. Make sure that you play the clock. Run out the clock until you get to the next topic. Then you slide in your culture war stuff. You slide in your conspiracy theories. You're talking about Hunter Biden. You're talking about random internet conspiracies. You're seeding the media beforehand by saying Joe Biden is on a performance-enhancing drugs, that he had plastic surgery, that he has an earpiece in to feed him answers. There's a teleprompter there that's going to allow him to read off the answers. President Trump figured out how to play the media years ago, and he is still playing them, and that's why we're not talking about any substantive issues from last night. That's why we're simply caught on all the distractions.
No, we are talking about substantive issues because the reality, Monique, his statements regarding not wanting to condemn white supremacists. Also, last night, Joe Biden, when he talked about Antifa, Trump was, he got to condemn Antifa. Biden last night, Monique, quoted the FBI director, Christopher Wray, who said Antifa is not an organization, it's an ideology. And then Trump's like, I disagree with that. The reality is this here. Biden, I thought the strongest moments when he finally said, the hell with Chris Wallace, the hell with Donald Trump, I'm going to look directly at the camera and talk to the American people. I do believe last night we had substance, and the substance is you've got a crazy, deranged crank who was even more crazy than we're used to, and you saw calm, focused, clear Biden compared to Trump. That contrast has shown up in various polls on who won last night and how this is going to solidify, I believe, this race for Joe Biden. Monique.
I believe that that is true, that you did see a leader and you did see other than leader. I don't know, though obviously there was a winner for last night, whether that tilted the few, like 2, 3, 5 undecided voters in the United States of America right now or not. I agree with what the last panelist said, that this was a calculated approach by Team Trump, because they did prep, though they lied and said they barely prepped. He said his prep is being president. No, he had sessions. And what they figured out is that there's no way that he could win because he doesn't have enough on substance. He doesn't have a record that would prop him up. He doesn't have anything convincing to say about the pandemic or the economy or jobs. He's lost on all of those issues, and he doesn't have a command of the information. So instead, disrupt, disrupt, disrupt. And that is a very old debating tactic, which I'm sure Scott's on the panel. He would agree with me. If you can't do anything else, just throw the whole thing over and run down the clock. And that's what his team obviously did. They just let him go. Obviously, you could see he wasn't sedated. He wasn't on any of the meds he's normally on. He was out there being his rambunctious self. He stuck to every one of his talking points, not the points that the team gave him, not the points that are in the briefing books, but the talking points that are in his head. He was very consistent about those. I mean, he brought up all of his oldies and he had some new goodies, and he did what Trump does. Now, obviously, that's not what we want in a president. I couldn't hear you, Roland.
But here's the deal. I got to pull Scott in here, because Scott, here's the deal. You saw all that take place, but the bottom line is this here. It's not a question of the undecideds. It's also, how do you drive your side out? The Biden-Harris team raised $3.8 million between the 10 p.m. and the 11 p.m. hour last night. That is about intensity. This race is going to come down to which side is more intense when it comes to the polls. And I think last night it further pissed off Biden supporters.
Yeah, I think so also. And Robert, I think him being disruptive was just outrageous, if you will. And I think the plan worked against him. We cannot forget that. But I tell you, folks, last night I saw desperation, and I saw a man that was unhinged in the middle of a political campaign that he's losing. And I kept thinking to myself, we got to get ready for November 3rd and afterwards, because this is a foreshadowing of what we're going to see. he didn't just not denounce the Proud Boys or white supremacists. He dissected it. He never denounced them. What he said was stand back, stand down, as if he was their commander-in-chief. Listen to me, Roland. And then that stand by and stand down was almost, well, let the police handle the violence, but that has nothing to do with their white supremacist philosophy. And he's going to come back to them after November 3rd when he loses, whether it's by a wide margin or not, and he is going to activate his supporters, the Ku Klux Klan, the Proud Boys, whatever you call them. And by the way, why do you need a name to denounce white supremacy? Are there some that you would not denounce, but others you would denounce? Well, that makes absolutely no sense.
And here's the deal. You did have substance last night because you did hear Joe Biden hit him on the issue of coronavirus. I understand that. I understand that. But no, I understand that. My point is this here. You did have Biden talk about coronavirus. You did hear him talk about the economy. You did hear him talk about those issues there. And again, I think what you're now dealing with, sure, you got Mr. Chaos and want to throw it out there. I believe the tactics, even Joe Biden, exasperated, shaking his head, sitting here, will flash a smile. But when he finally said, man, just shut up. And so it was clear. It was clear what he was doing. But this, again, Lauren, this election comes down to intensity. And that is this here. If by seeing this, and if it happens in the second debate and the third debate, it reinforces we are so sick of this dude. We have got to go vote. I think that, Lauren, is how the debate psychologically impacts the voting electorate.
Roland, I think that your point is really well taken, but the problem I'm having is that I felt like watching Biden, I still have this sense of the Democrats bringing a knife to the gunfight, okay? You got to come out with a little bit more energy than what I saw from Joe Biden last night. And I think it was Robert's point, interruption is a strategy. Name calling is a strategy. Narrative change is a strategy. Breaking another person's train of thought is a strategy. Lying is a strategy. Trump employed all of that last night on Biden, quite frankly, pretty well, because Biden, for some reason, got into it where he was stopped talking. He wouldn't, frankly, I think Joe Biden was great, just like you just said, Roland, when he punched him in the mouth. I did not like the staring at the moderator. I think that Biden should have stared right at Trump and said what he was saying. I think that has a lot of power on camera.
But Monique, one second. But Monique, I thought about last night as I watched that, and then I saw the analysis. I saw people. Here's the deal. I think, Monique, there were a lot of people who wanted Joe Biden to go toe-to-toe, to want him to fight. No. And you know what I thought about? I thought about a conversation you and I had when you went on Tucker Carlson. And when I said, he's going to expect you to come in hot. And I said, Monique, don't come in hot. You lower it. Keep an even tone voice. And then at a certain point, start laughing at him. That's what Biden did. And it allowed for people to say, who's the crazy dude? That's the calm one. That's the one who's keeping it together. That's the one who's not rude and disrespectful. That's the deal. Biden can't fall into, you can't go toe-to-toe with crazy because crazy has no limit.
Absolutely. And you obviously were right when you gave me that advice. And when I was on last night on IG Live, I was just kind of giving some analysis, and I hearkened back kind of to my old days at Howard Law School when I was on trial team and training. And what we were told, or erasers were thrown at us, was you're speaking to the judge and you're speaking to the jury. You're not speaking to your opposing counsel because you are not debating them. You are bringing a message forward. So Biden was sticking to very good debate prep when he was looking dead at the audience and when he was addressing his comments to the moderator. He did the couple of times, will you shut up, man? That was great. Those were timed. Those were fine. But the other important thing that I want the people who are listening to understand is what our president of the United States displayed last night. There is no black man or woman in America who could get away with that in a court of law. There is no white woman at the head of leadership in America who could get away with that. You doubt me? Think 2016 when Hillary Clinton probably wanted to say, will you shut up, man, and some more stuff. But she knew she was diving through sexism and misogyny landmines that were the size of giants. So if any black man had tried to do half of that and lose decorum like that, lose respect, he would have gotten stepped back. He'd be in an orange jumpsuit in 30 seconds. There's no orange jumpsuit for Trump yet. And that's why he's fighting the way he's fighting, because he knows if he doesn't win, he's going to jail.
But Scott, here's the deal, though. Again, what I need people to understand, when you examine this whole deal here, Biden was by no far perfect. Let me be real clear, okay? But there were clear moments where Biden did focus on policy, and one area where Trump could not wriggle out, it was health care, which is the number one issue among voters. And when Trump could not even state, I got a health care plan. He's tried the whole, I'm swinging and throwing. Dude, you still have no plan.
That's right. That's right. And so another tactic we use in the courtroom when we have a recalcitrant witness is your cross-examination. You have short, tight questions. You demand short, tight answers. And if the witness doesn't have any, you just continue to pepper them. And on health care, on his COVID response, too, you may be talking about both. Biden was really tight and sharp on it. He said what he had to say. He spoke the truth. And all that Trump could murmur or mumble through were I'm not trying to get rid of Obamacare. We did more than any other country. You did more than any other country to bring in 20% of all the cases, if you will, and 200,000 people are dead and counting. And so he was really good and effective there. But remember, whether he looked at the camera or looked at away, Biden questions and statements were tight and right on healthcare and COVID. You're right. It was the most effective part for Biden, and that's why it was most effective against Trump and him being a complete ass. I got to tell you, I don't see any upside.
Well, of course. Here's the deal, Robert. Next debate, obviously, you got the rule changes. But if I'm Biden and I go back and watch that tape, after the moderator asks a question, stop looking at the moderator, the hell with him, and do what he did. When he leaned in and went right to the camera, I'm watching this and I'm saying, what he's saying is, damn, all of this other nonsense, I'm talking to you. That, Robert, has to be duplicated and replicated over and over and over again in the next two debates. Go ahead.
I agree with you, and I think that was probably the part that Trump probably did the best at, which was being that disruptive force. That he was able to interject. He was able to throw Biden off of his talking points. Whenever Biden is jumping down into the mud of the trailer park with Donald Trump is winning. That is his territory. He's a reality TV star. He might as well have been a Housewives reunion with Andy Cohen moderating instead of Chris Wallace. So when Biden would slip and say you're racist, when Biden would slip and say you're the worst president ever, when Biden would slip and say shut up, man, you're now falling down and dropping down into that trailer park with Donald Trump, and that's where he thrives at. So I think it has to be, now that you've seen it once, it's almost like that Houston Rockets small ball offense. The first time a team saw it, they didn't know what to do when you had a 6'5" dude shooting threes at center. But then when they got to the playoffs, you had a couple games to prepare for it, you're able to shut it down, and that's what the Rockets go home every year. So I think it's important for Joe Biden to take, now that he's seen it one time.
Robert, don't get your ass whooped bringing up my Rockets now. Don't get your ass whooped.
It was appropriate.
I mean, ain't like your Hawks have done any damn thing, but go ahead.
Or the Falcons, for that
matter. The whole point is learning how to adapt and adjust on the fly. Don't think this is not a debate from the 1970s going by the Roberts rules of order. Maybe he needs to binge watch E! and a couple reality shows for maybe a week or two to get back into it, but he's going to have to come out stronger. Otherwise, Trump will dominate the news cycle instead of the actual winner of the debate.
None of those tactics.
But you know what, though? Here's the deal. Here's the deal. Here's the deal, though. But here's the deal, though. Also, talk about dominating the news cycle. Here's what he's dominating: white supremacists, Proud Boys, and the Proud Boys are actually making it worse for him, because you know what? They're embracing it, and so he now has to deal with that. And his goal was to appeal to suburban white women. Trying to be buddy with the Proud Boys is not. Hold up. I'm gonna go Lauren and Monique first. Lauren, it ain't the smartest strategy thinking you're going to appeal to them suburban white women who he's losing in droves by pumping up the Proud Boys.
Yeah, that was an unforced error, obviously, from him running his mouth and being stupid and racist, but that's who he is. And he
Right.
So that's what happened. I mean, I do think, though, that Biden has to figure out a way not to go down the rabbit hole when he gets interrupted. What Trump does when he interrupts is that he changes the narrative, he changes the course of the discussion, and Biden follows him. And I'm like, what are you following him for? Like, talk about what you want to talk about, just like Trump talks
Absolutely
about
right.
what
You're
Trump
right.
wants to talk about. So that's a...
You're
that's
right.
a.
And here, you're right. No, you're 100% right. And Monique, the strategy, this is the strategy. You stand there, and when he starts yapping, this is what Biden does. Are you done? Are you going to still be so arrogant, interrupt? See, here's my deal. You don't look at him, and you go, I'm going to finish my point when you stop being a blabbermouth. You, whatever you like, but you never, because here's the deal. When you look at him, he's now got your eyes locked. That's why Trump kept looking at him. What you do is you give his ass a wall. You let him, you don't even look that way. You don't even look down. Let me know when you're done sitting here blabbering and not answering a question. Still not answering a question. And here's the deal. Or what you do, Monique, you keep talking. I know it's disruptive, but you don't even accept the bite. You keep talking, and then the moderator says the two of you can't talk. We'll tell him to shut up. You keep going.
Right.
I think that we're kind of dealing in extremes, and what Vice President Biden gave us last night and needs to continue giving us is a balance in the fight. Because, yes, you need to stay on point. You need to be looking to your real target audience, which is the American people. But also every now and then you got to punch them in the face. Because you're dealing with a madman who's on the stage next to you. And so I think that has to happen too. That's not what you constantly do. You don't punch. But I believe that he has to continue to do both. Because you know why? Vice President Biden, when he was up there, he was saying things that millions of Americans have wanted for 4 years to say to this president. And
such
it
as,
was
will
the
you
first
shut up?
Opportunity. Yes. And so I'm saying those are not errors, unforced or otherwise. Biden was being Biden, and I'm like, Uncle Joe, I know you're listening to your debate prep, and I appreciate that, but every now and then he needs to let one rip and cut that fool down to size, because that gained him people who were like, yeah, it's not just Trump who calls a spade and a thing and a fool. We're about to get a new president who is going to say, hey, man, shut up. You're talking crazy. You don't pay taxes. You're a criminal. Go somewhere. So we need both. We need both.
And it
hold on, real quick. Hold on. Wait. 20 seconds. Robert, 20 seconds. Scott, go.
2 points. One, when Trump is appealing to white supremacists, you're operating under the assumption that the majority of America is not compelled by a message of white supremacy. America is built on white supremacy. The founding documents of this nation are white supremacy. The soil itself is based upon white supremacy. So when Donald Trump makes an appeal to it, don't be surprised when that goes over well. And secondarily, we've seen what happened in 2016 when Marco Rubio tried to jump down into the trailer park mud pit with Donald Trump. He lost. When Jeb Bush went to the trailer park, he lost. Ted Cruz went to the trailer park. He lost. Donald Trump is the trailer park champion, so you cannot beat him at his own game. You have to beat him on policy.
Yeah, but I don't think Biden's trying to do that. I don't think he was trying to do that last night. He was exasperated like the rest of the audience when he said, man, just shut up. When he said you were the worst president. Every time he insulted Trump, it was in response. It was a counterpunch, if you will. And those counterpunches hit home because it's what the audience was thinking and the voters have been thinking for the last 4 years. You were the worst president. You're lying. You caused COVID. All of those were counter punches, and I think he played it just right. He didn't get down in the garbage stall. And if there is a second debate or if he participates, because we haven't talked about that, regardless of the rule change, I don't think he's going to get down in the garbage land with him.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks at Seek.com, of course, they black-owned company founded by Mary Spiel. They have a couple of great products that you can actually get. This is their VR headset. This headset, folks, allows for you to actually take your cell phone, pop it right into here, close it up, and then you can actually watch the VR content, the virtual reality content on Seek.com right there through your phone. Actually, it's pretty cool. You can also look at 360-degree video from other websites as well, and it puts you literally right there where the video was shot. And so they have this particular headset right here. They also have their 360-degree 4D headphones. And so these headphones right here, which are Bluetooth. Also, they have the headset, which you use for when you, if you're for all you gamers out there. And then, of course, it has this amazing sound, really, which actually covers around. Typically, you just have the headphones just right here, but this actually has a sound that goes all around your head. I love these headphones. Love listening to music with them and watching videos as well. And so, all you got to do, folks, is go to Seek.com, Seek.com. Use the promo code RMVIP2020. That's RMVIP2020 to actually try these out. And so that's what we want you to do. All right, folks. So again, go to Seek.com.